Hi, this is Happy Bird from happybirdsglitternest.blogspot.com, and today I'm going to show you how to make some gorgeous shabby chic ornaments out of nothing more than scrapbooking cardstock, recycled cereal boxes, a button bling, and the chain that I used in my spoon ornament video. These were so easy to put together, you're going to be amazed. So what I did is I made these, and I really hope you can see just how much they shine, because sometimes it's difficult to film silver. It appears almost dark or dingy, but I thought these turned out really pretty. And these went pretty quickly too as far as making them. So I'm going to set these aside here for a moment. And the first thing you're going to need is you're going to need a scalloped edge punch. Now, mine is a Marvy Uchida, and it's about, it's pretty close to 1.5 inches across in diameter. And I punched these out of cereal boxes, and I'm going to call these pogs because that's what it reminds me of. And then I punched out some ultra fine glittered cardstock, and I'm just using the white iridescent, and I want to talk to you a moment about that. As you can tell, this is a super fine grit. Do not get any type of cardstock that has the chunkier glitter, because your punch will jam, and you don't want that. This has to be ultra fine, okay? Now you can also use this type of cardstock where it's white and it has a design of glitter in it. That will work as well. Just don't get the real chunky stuff. Okay, so to begin with, you're going to need some turbo tacky glue. Finally went out, bought another bottle, and I'm just going to put a little bit of the turbo tacky glue on here, and I'm going to spread it out like this, going from the inside out to the very edges, because we want those edges to stick. We don't want any kind of peeling. Okay. So now I'm going to take one of these little recycled cardboard things, and I'm going to line up the scallops and just press this down like that. Okay. And you'll see a slight hint of color in between, but that's okay because we'll cover that up later on. I'll show you how I did that. Okay, so now you're going to do the same thing on the other side, spreading it outwards towards the scalloped edges, and coming in with another piece of glittered cardstock. You're probably wondering why I have the recycled cardboard in the middle, and it's nothing more than just to give it a little bit of stability. You can certainly glue 2 pieces of the glittered cardstock together, but I wanted these to be a little bit chunkier. So I'm just pressing down, kind of realigning with my thumb here. Now it's not going to be 100% dead on perfect, as you can see, but we're going to try to come as close to perfect as we can. Okay, so now you're going to need a real heavy book, and you're going to place that heavy book on a flat surface. I mean, you're going to place this on a flat surface with a heavy book on top, because you don't want any kind of curling or lifting up around the edges. So I'm going to do that now, and when this is thoroughly dry, I'm coming back. Okay, so now this is completely dry. It's very solid, as you can tell. And so now I'm going to take my silver leafing pen right here. This is by Krylon. I like this because it's nice and bright and shiny. If you don't have a leafing pen, you can certainly use a metallic paint pen. I would not recommend a Sharpie because it's not going to give you that same shine, and it will appear darker instead of lighter. So I'm going to shake this up a little bit. Get my bottle cap. This is so old, this pen is, but it's still working, so that's why I'm using it. Now, remember I told you at the very beginning that you might see a little color from the cereal box right here? We're going to cover that up. We're just going to go around the edges like this, and it'll give it a nice little outline there too. And see, it's covering up the edges. Okay. Just be careful not to touch the painted part. You don't want it to smear, because if it smears on this glitter cardstock, you're not going to be able to get it off, that's for sure. Okay, so I'm going to blow it a little and let it sit here for just a second. So now we have to decide what type of bling to use. Now, with these two ornaments, I used bling that was about 25 millimeters across. That worked out really well. On this one, I used a much smaller button. It was 18 millimeter. And I noticed that there was going to be a gap on the inside here. Well, that would have been fine because the cardstock is glittery, so it still would have been pretty. But I decided to go ahead and use this tiny little pearl trim here and just use the same process as I did gluing the chain. And I just glued the pearl trim down with E6000. I used a little toothpick to spread it out. And then I came in with a rhinestone and glued that around it. And I thought it turned out really pretty. And the rhinestone from around this little button, it almost looks like a chain itself, but it isn't. So you can do that with the smaller buttons to fill in any gaps if you would like. On this particular one, we're going to glue on the bails first. Now, I ran out of the real tiny bails, but I have some on order, so I'm just using two different sizes here. And that doesn't matter, but I just wanted to explain why one was larger and one was smaller. So I'm going to take my toothpick and I'm going to take some E6000. Ooh, this is wanting to squirt out. I don't like it when that happens. Hold on. This on a paper towel. Okay. So I'm just going to wipe a little here, and this is the clear glue. And I'm just going to place it right here, anywhere that I choose. With the first one you can do that, and I'll show you how I lined up the second one perfectly. Okay. And if you need to, you can go back in and just kind of scrape around it, but honestly, once this dries, you really can't see it. So I'm just going to lay this down for a second and take care of this glue that is spurting out of the bottle. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. I'm going to get a wet one here and wipe my hands quickly. It's not really a good idea to have this E6000 on your bare skin. Now, some of you might say, well, can't you use hot glue on this? Well, you probably can, but I can pretty much guarantee that after a while it'll probably fall apart. If you use E6000, it's going to stay. Okay. Alrighty, so what I did was I punched out a piece of computer paper with my scallop punch, and I folded it in half like this, and then I went back in and took a pen, and right on the crease, as you can see, I put a little black dot with my pen, and then one here down at the bottom. And I did that because I figured that way when I was gluing the bales on, I touched it again, darn it. There we go. Then I could just do this. Just lay this like that, and then just make sure that other bale was down here. Because I didn't want one bale up here to be up here and then accidentally glue the other one right here a little off center or something like that. Now, you may not have that problem, but with me, I have to do it that way. You might have a good eye for that type of thing. So I'm going to put a little more of this E6000 on the small bale here. Finally got this bottle under control. I don't know what happened, but it just went splat all over the place when I opened it. Okay, so I can hold this, and then I can pretty much tell by the top dot, by lining that up with this, where I'm going to place the bottom dot. So probably right there in between these two, right here. Okay, and actually all of this goes pretty quickly. It's just that when I'm showing you, that's when it takes a lot of time. That one started to fall off because it wasn't dried yet. Okay, so I'm just going to double check it now. Yeah, see, that's pretty good. You can tell that they're lined up. Alright, so I'm going to give this a little time here to dry. It should dry fairly quickly, but I have a process with my little tiny desk fan that I use. I can just blow it directly on that and it'll dry a lot quicker for me to handle. Okay, so I'm going to allow that to dry now. So the bales have dried well enough for me to handle this. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this AB rhinestone chain. This is a 4.3 millimeter. However, I'll give you the link as to where I purchased this in the drop-down bar as well as on my blog. So we're going to count out 21 of these stones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So I'm going to cut it right there. Now, of course, if you use smaller rhinestones, you'll have to count out more. Okay. All right. And right now, the person that I buy this from has this on sale for $2.99 a yard, free shipping. So I went back and ordered some more myself. Alright, so now I'm going to take my bottle of E6000 and I'm just going to take a little bit at a time like this. just kind of drag it around the edges. And I'm going to do this process fairly quickly. And as you can see, I'm doing it a little bit away from the scallop. I'm not putting it directly on the scallop. I don't know if you can see that or not. Just doing it all the way around. You don't need a ton because this stuff really does hold well after it dries. So I'm just going to go all the way around, dragging this E6000 like so. Almost there. There we go. Just like that. Alright, so now I'm going to place my chain on. And you can use a toothpick to help you with this, or tweezers. I'm just going to start right here, and as I'm turning this around, I'm going to be careful because this chain has a tendency sometimes to kind of want to tip on its side, and sometimes it's hard to notice with all this shine. See how it's doing now? How it's kind of tipped over? So you want to bring that back like that. Okay. And now I'm just, from the inside, I'm just going to kind of spread it out a little. Make sure that these two ends are touching so there doesn't look like a definite beginning and end. You want it to look continuous. And I'm just kind of pushing it fairly close to the scalloped edges. And push those two together. There we go. See? Alright, and so the next thing we're going to do is place the button in the middle. Now I showed you with these two buttons, these were about 25 millimeter. The one I'm using today is about 21 millimeter. So I'm going to place that right in the middle. It might be 6,000 again. Put a pretty good size blob on that and place it right in the middle. Now it's easier if you put your chain on first like I showed you and then your button, because if you put your button on first and then you try to put your chain on, you're going to have trouble when you want to put your fingers in there and to spread the chain apart. So this is what we have so far. Now there's not quite enough room around the edges here to put this pearl trim. It has to be an 18 millimeter button or smaller in order to do that. Okay, so I'm just going to let the glitter in the background here be part of the decorative shine. So this is very simple, and I'm going to lay this flat right in front of my little fan again and let it dry thoroughly. Usually I like to just do it overnight because then I know it's nice and solid in the morning. But I'll go ahead and let this dry, and then we'll come back and put on the simple little teardrop bead, and we're going to slip a ribbon at the top. This one right here. That. Okay, so I'll be back. Okay, so as you can see, this is completely dried and it's rock hard. It's not going anywhere. And so now we're going to put a little teardrop bead on that. Now you can pretty much use any size teardrop bead as long as you don't go any smaller than 12 millimeters tall by 8 millimeters wide, and which is what this is right here. This is probably the smallest I would use. The larger one here, I think it's about 15 or 16 millimeters tall and 12 millimeters wide. So, you know, it's your choice there. You can find these at any craft store that has a jewelry line, eBay, Etsy. They're basically all over the place. So I found these little cute little bead caps. I paid 99 cents, I think, for 150 of them. And they are an 8 millimeter. They're supposed to fit 8 millimeter beads, excuse me. But as you can see, I used this on the large one, and it still looks really cute. So you don't have to go by that exactly. So you're going to need a 1-inch head pin, and this is a nice strong gauge head pin. I like Michael's head pins. The bead landing, they're nice and strong too, and I like them because I can use them and I don't have to wrap the beads with the wire at the bottom of the loops. I hope you understand what I'm talking about. You can just bend it clear over. So I'll show you what I'm talking about. Sometimes I get ahead of myself. So I'm going to slip this bead cap on here, and then the little teardrop, and you notice the hole is vertical. It is not horizontal this way at the top. So okay, and I'm use a little seed bead. I bought these from Michael's. They reminded me of kind of like a pearlescent type shine. So I'm going to slip that on at the top, and I'm just going to hold everything together right here, sitting on my finger. And I'm just going to come in with my round nose pliers and bend it a little like that at an angle. Come back in and bend this loop back up and around, and push that against my fingernail like that, and then continue to make the loop like so. You want to make sure it's closed. See, this is what I mean about a strong gauge. I can just bend it over and close it. I don't have the additional wire where I have to wrap around like this. I don't like doing that. It's a pain in the neck. I can do it, but I don't like doing it. This is so much easier. And it holds just as well if you have a strong gauge head pin. So with that said, I'm going to pick up a 6 millimeter jump ring, and I already opened it doing this. I'm just going to slide my little teardrop on here and just slide it on the bail at the bottom, and then pinch it closed like so. Now if you've never done any kind of jewelry making and you have difficulty making these little teardrop charms, you can also pick up any kind of just regular charm and open and close the jump ring and slide it on. But if you're using a charm and you want it to face the front, you're going to have to use 2 6 millimeter jump rings. You're going to loop one into the other and then put your charm on. It's okay to use one jump ring when you just have a bead on because there's no front or back to it, but when it's a charm, it's a little different because you want it facing the front. So I hope I didn't confuse you too much. Okay, now what I did was I cut off about 14.5 inches of the ribbon, but I'm not going to use all of that. I just wanted enough to be able to tie a bow in it and to trim it. And I made it all the same length, so all of these ribbons would be the same length. And I'll probably give these little Shabby Chic ornaments to someone as a Christmas gift, maybe wrap them up. So I'm folding down both corners like this, and then folding it again like that, kind of like the front of a paper airplane. And That way I can just slip it in like that into my bail and give it a pull. And I'm going to tie a knot in it. Just a little overhand knot. About like that. Pull it tightly. That'll hold. And then I'm going to come in with my scissors. Just make sure this is together. And just cut it at an angle like that. So now you have two little pieces. Now this type of ribbon, it'll fray unless I put something on it. So I want to use something clear, especially on this type of ribbon, because I don't want anything on here that's going to cause it to look kind of muddy looking. This is so sheer. So I'm just putting a dab of the Mod Podge Super Gloss. That's a one coat gloss finish. You can use anything that you have on hand that's clear. You can use the diamond glaze. You can use triple thick. Anything that's going to dry completely clear. Okay, so I'm just going to allow that to dry. And this is pretty much right here what we have. And as you can tell, it wasn't too long putting that together. These go actually very quickly once you get started. And you can make these look so different just by changing the button in the center and the color of the teardrop bead. But see, they all have different buttons. Same chain, same process, but different buttons, different teardrops. And they look like a set, but yet they're different. So I hope you really enjoyed this tutorial, and I'll take photos of these and put these up on my blog along with the links that I told you I'd give you, as well as the drop down bar below. So be sure to subscribe to my channel and come visit my Facebook page. I don't mention that too often, but we have a wonderful group of people on Facebook. And you know, share your craft videos and craft photos with me, and I'll post them. And never ever think that your crafts aren't good enough or up to standard, because we have crafters of all levels on the Facebook page. So I'd really like it if you'd come and join me. And be sure to check out next week's ornament post. I have something coming up that I think you'll really like, and it'll involve using glitter glass, German glitter glass, and triple thick. So I think you're really going to like it. And the following tutorial after that, let's see, I have the Dollar Tree Christmas card ornament. You're going to really like that one. And then the week after that, I'll probably post my Dollar Tree block ornament. We're going to make something out of Dollar Tree alphabet blocks. So be sure and subscribe. You don't want to miss out. And click on that little notification bell at the top here above my video, and that way you'll be sure to be notified of, you know, every time I post. So thank you again, and I know I've been a little long-winded here. You take care, and God bless each and every one of you. Have a beautiful day.